Welcome back. Usually, the establishment and expansion of a country's free media is seen as a good thing, evidence of freedom of expression. And one of the media byproducts of the fall of Saddam Hussein has been the growth in the number of television stations in Iraq, from 2 during the Saddam era to around 30 today. However, the explosion in choice in Iraq obscures a larger reality. The Listening Post's Salah Khadr now on Iraq's new media landscape that reflects the bitter sectarian struggle that echoes throughout that country.
Iraq, a multi-ethnic, multi-sectarian pot, a nation at war with itself among ethnic Kurds, Turkmen and Arabs, and among the Sunni and Shia Muslim sects. Now Iraq has a media scene to match. With some 30 satellite and terrestrial channels broadcasting, it's a far cry from television during Saddam Hussein's dictatorship, where Iraqis were bombarded with images of him and serenaded with odes to Saddam.
If we take the kind of pre-fall of Saddam era, you had 2 state channels, which were totally controlled and totally censored by Saddam Hussein and his regime. Once that fell, it opened it up.
The Iraqi media scene is a jungle. It's free for all. It's a state of media lawlessness. They all represent different agendas.
أفرج في ساعة مبكرة من فجر اليوم عن مراسل قناة البغدادية المختطف منتظر الزيدي.
Residents of Al Fallujah city buried the bodies of 7 residents that were found in the Adli Medical Center showing signs of torture.
The media outlets have worsened the ethnic and the sectarian conflict in Iraq. They are giving their ethnic and sectarian message through these media outlets.
And everyone seems to have snapped up an opportunity to get their voice heard.
Most Iraqi political factions, whether it's Sunni, Shia, Kurd, Turkmen, even the Christian communities, own their own satellite TV. The satellite television channel proves to be the most widely consumed medium in Iraq, as well as it can communicate to the Arab region, as well as to the Iraqi diaspora abroad.
State-run Al-Iraqiyya reflects the government's Shiite leanings, with many Iraqis viewing it with skepticism because of its US sponsorship. Al-Sharqiyya, or the Eastern one, is a more secular station, but is also Iraq's first private channel, the owner a London-based Iraqi tycoon. Al-Zawra is among Iraq's most controversial. Its programming consists of pro-Sunni, anti-Shiite propaganda, including footage of attacks on US-led coalition forces. Al-Furat represents the Iraqi Supreme Islamic Council, is Iranian-funded, and takes a more conservative Islamic line in its reporting. The list goes on.
In normal circumstances, a multiplicity of media outlets, TV stations, newspapers, websites, is good, is healthy, is positive, is democratic. But in Iraq, it's quite the opposite. The media is a double-edged sword. It's supposed to educate, to inform, to entertain. In Iraq, it's to instigate violence, to create hatred, to put people against each other, and to create divisions.
But how exactly does an ethnic or sectarian affiliation influence a station's output?
I don't think any of them would say that they're out to stoke and inflame sectarian conflict. Is that the case or not? One only has to see that, watch the same news program on different shows and there'll be a different slant.
The Shia channel is most likely to depict the Shia as victims, the Sunni channel, the Sunni as victims. And hence the audience, seeing their community being targeted in the media over and over again, is believed to kind of instill in a person the need for justice, to take matters in their own hands.
As with any conflict, this media war is not without its casualties. Tellingly, the 2 most watched, Al-Arabiyya, a Saudi-owned Dubai-based channel, and Al-Sharqiyya have both at times been knocked off the air in Iraq.
One of the reasons why Al-Sharqiyya was switched out, and Al-Arabiyya as well, which was seen as, again, kind of pro-Saudi, pro-Sunni channel, even though it's a pan-Arab news channel, was because it was seen as fueling sectarian divides, particularly after the execution and sentencing of Saddam Hussein. They were seen as being an overtly political statement in his favor against the kind of Shia majority. Now again, are people just using that as an excuse as to basically improve and further their own control over the media in Iraq? Quite likely.
The divisions in Iraqi media were put into sharp focus on Al Jazeera when Al Zawra's owner, Mish'an al-Jubairi, here on the right, clashed with Shiite journalist Sadiq al-Musawi.
أولاً عليك أن تحترم نفسك وتؤدب ألفاظك جيداً وإلا أسوي بيك شيء ما تتصور أبداً عجمي فارسي قشمر.
The channels literally changed overnight from being an entertainment channel to being a channel that was basically a mouthpiece for the armed groups. That channel directly exhorted violence against the Iraqi government and coalition forces, multinational forces. It demonstrates how a channel can make this transition to a medium of violence.
So what are the dangers of an unregulated media in Iraq?
TV, by definition, it's going to be impact, high impact, visuals, noise. So you can get your message across in a far more sensationalist way in TV.
The media war is indeed more effective, more influential, and it can do more damage than the actual military war. The military war, the action is localized. You kill some people, you destroy a building, whereas the media enters every home.
And if the media's impact were in any doubt, then the numbers of reporters and presenters cross-network that have lost their lives should serve as a stark reminder.
More Global Village voices now and their take on the Iraq media story.
The Iraqi media has, like the American democracy experiment there, failed. And it's broken up not on the basis of journalism, but on sectarian advocacy. Most of the Iraqi media is not professional media at all, but either shills for the American military or advocates for sectarian movements there. You name it, every group and every movement has a press. The divisions among the groups also have their own media. So rather than being professional journalists, they're advocates for activism.
Finally, anyone who owns an iPod is familiar with the following predicament. The battery dies at a crucial time and you've got no way of charging it. Well, you can avoid that problem by making sure that you're never without a bottle of an energy drink like Gatorade and a good-sized onion. The alternative, almost organic method of charging your iPod is our Internet Video of the Week. We'll see you next time at The Listening Post.
For this project, you're going to need a few items. The first item you need is going to be a white onion. Next would be 2 cups of Gatorade, your iPod with charger, and a screwdriver. Once you have all of your items, place the onion firmly down, hold it with one hand, and very carefully poke a hole in the right side. And you're going to place the onion within the solution. And you're going to dry off all the excess fluid. Make sure you use the USB charger and not any wall outlets. Firmly push the USB adapter into the top of the onion, and once you get that in there, give it a few seconds for the power to travel through, and your iPod should power up. And there you have it, how to charge an iPod using electrolytes and an onion.